In conversation with Sahra Indio, Kona-based reggae singer Sahra Indio launches environmental children's book Kona, Hawaii. Renowned for her signature song Goat's Gonna Happen, Kona reggae artist Sahra Indio unveils a fresh chapter in her artistic journey. Influenced by a partnership with Recycle Hawaii and outreach in Big Island School, Miss Indio passion for the environment has deepened understanding the imperative of nurturing young minds to sharpen mother's heart. She has authored and illustrated novels MySillyO, The Plastic Digester. This compelling narrative is an environmental call to action crafted explicitly for readers aged 9 to 90. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy, and excitement to have on the show today, Sahra Indio. Welcome on the show, Sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Yeah, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today. My first time actually having a reggae artist on the show. I would like us to talk about that.
Wow, and all of your 700 plus interviews. That's pretty cool. I
Yeah,
feel honored.
yeah. And now I think I have to make sure I start from the beginning, yeah, by making reference to your singing, your songs that you've published, several ones over the internet space, which is quite amazing. And I need to say thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, yeah. So could you tell us about your book, My Silly Hole, The Plastic Digester? A fun guy whose description page on Amazon actually sounds quite intriguing and captivating to me. I would like to ask you, how does this book came about? What inspired you to write My Silly Hole, The Plastic Digester?
Well, a little bit of a long story,
Hmm.
but not very long.
Yeah?
I am also a fiber artist,
Hmm.
and I have been fascinated with the new textiles that are being made from pineapple, banana. Have you seen any of those? There's pineapple leather, there's banana fiber. And in this time of being ecologically aware, people are looking for other alternatives to cotton, polyester.
Yeah.
And one of the latest, not that late, but one thing that fascinated me was this mycelium that was grown and used as fabric. It just totally blew my mind that you
Wow.
could grow this substance and it can be formed and molded into any shape you want, but it could be made so thin that you could actually make like a leather from mycelium.
Hmm.
So shortly after I saw that, an article came in my inbox about the 50 new mushrooms that were discovered that would dissolve plastic.
Wow.
And I read this article with amazement. And one of the species of this mycelium mushrooms, mushrooms are the symbol of mycelium. Not all mycelium has a fruiting body as a mushroom.
Hmm.
My particular guy, MySillyO,
Yeah.
he's not a fruiting body, but for this book, we made him a mushroom boy
Wow.
just for convenience. So when I read about these 50 kinds of mushrooms that could dissolve plastic, one of the first ones was mycelia, was the Q. aspergillus turbangensis. And it was found in a dump
Wow.
in Pakistan. There was a
Wow.
scientific community that had went there. They were students, and they found this mycelium, and they brought it back, and they were able to see that it could dissolve plastic.
Wow.
Now, in the world that we live in today, everything is plastic.
Yeah.
It's plastic, 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 plastic. And
Everywhere.
we understand plastic is very hard to break down in the environment.
Yeah.
So in my book, we're calling it the plastic play.
Hmm.
And how are we going to deal with this?
Hmm.
So I work with children
Yeah.
I read with Recycle Hawaii. I go to schools and I talk to kids about recycling, the environment, how are we going to clean it up, on and on and on. So when I read this article about the 50 species of mushrooms that could dissolve plastic, it gave me a bright idea. And I did some further research and I saw that most of the conversations around mycelium and the environment were geared to adults.
Wow.
But us adults are leaving this problem for the youth of tomorrow.
Mm.
And so I felt I needed to address that by writing a book that they would understand because I feel working with kids, they are so innovative
Mm.
that they will find solutions if we give them the opportunity
Yeah.
and the education to the problems we're facing.
Wow. That was quite amazing. Very great. Quite pulling and quite amazing to me. I love your answers to this and the fact that this is something that everybody can relate to. This is a global issue. It's an environmental concern. It's something worth talking about. Quite great. Plastic is one of the hardest things that can be recycled. It is very hard, and we keep manufacturing it over and over again from day to day life activities, throwing them every here and there, causing pollution and stuff like that. And I love the title of the book, My Silly Hole, the Plastic Digester. Quite great, quite amazing. I want to say thank you so much for sharing with us. Love the sound of it.
He is a young spore, MySillyO.
Yeah. And for the sake of readers who haven't read the book yet, I know we've talked a bit about this, but then I still like to ask you, for the sake of readers who haven't read the book yet and without giving much information away, could we have a sneak peek of what you would expect in terms of themes and subject lines picking up the book?
MySillyO comes from the subterranean kingdom.
Mm.
We understand now that mycelium is a fungi, is a kingdom of itself. It's
Wow,
not an animal, it's not a plant.
no problem.
But what fungi has done is prepared the earth for us.
Mm.
So we know this intelligence, right, has answers to our problems.
Yeah.
So mycelium coming to us from the underground, he's a young spore and he's being groomed to be a super sporier for
Mm.
Mother Earth.
Wow.
And that is what this book is about. It is about him realizing that he has a mission. You know, in life, we all want to contribute, we want to have a
Yeah.
purpose. And at a young age, mycelium is understanding that he has a purpose. And what is his purpose? He's been summoned by Mother Earth to help with the cleanup.
Wow.
And it sounds like, it's kind of a daunting task for him.
Mm.
He hasn't been on Earth before, he's been below the Earth. And so
Mm.
now he has to change his environment so that he can come into this realm
Yeah.
and help.
Love your take on this. It sounds very great to me, and I can go on and on and on and on and on. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, I'd like to ask you, what are fungi and how do they help in the environment? This sounds like a question you would find in secondary school biology education. Yeah, where we talk about fungi, algae, amoeba, nitrogen cycle, oxygen cycle, pollination, photosynthesis, ecosystem, all of that. But then I'd like to ask you, what are fungi and how do fungi help in the environment? I'd like to ask as
So,
often.
like I was saying earlier, fungi is weird. It's not an animal, it's not a plant. And it's only recently that they've given it its own kingdom to understand um, what it's like. And so, fungi, unlike plants, it it does not produce photosynthesis. So it has to find its food. It's not making its food. It
Mm,
has to find food, and it does this through the act of decomposition.
Yeah, the
So
composition.
fungi breaks down dead matter
Yeah.
and then they change it, they transform it into something that the earth can use, right?
Mm,
So it's a kind of a regeneration, it's a rejuvenation of the soil.
mm,
Fungi was here long before us. In fact,
absolutely.
before trees and dinosaurs.
Mm,
Fungi made the world livable for the us, which I sometimes call us the two-leggeds.
mm,
And the mushrooms at that time grew so large, they were larger than the trees. And so over time, they transformed Earth into this habitat with this green mantle that
yeah.
we sustains our life today.
Yeah. It's
And so
amazing.
they say there's a fungus among us. The
Mm,
fungi is within us, is without us, is in space, is in the water. It feels to be the whole
mm,
matrix
yeah.
of allowing life to proceed.
Mm,
First, it comes and creates the habitat, then life can blossom and bloom. So it's been
wow.
doing that for many millions of years till
Mm,
we are on this earth today, enjoying all the benefits of fungi and what it has, how it paved the way for us to be here. So to me, it's
wow.
only natural that the solution for some of our problems are right there in that kingdom.
Mm, wow. This is amazing. I love your take on this and I love your answers to these questions. They're quite amazing, very educative, quite instructive, and very great. It's as if I'm in a class of biology education, listening to a teacher deliver a speech about fungi. I love your take on that. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, I would like you to tell us about your profession as an artist, as a reggae singer. Could you tell us how you get started with reggae and how many, songs you've produced so far?
And my last, and I have an album that I wrote for children, and it was
Mm,
called Teach the Youth the Truth. So I've been listening to reggae music ever since I learned about Bob Marley.
mm,
I changed my life, my
wow,
lifestyle, my diet, my hair, my philosophy. I
mm,
got closer to nature.
wow,
And I understand that nature, without nature, what do we have?
mm,
Without agriculture, there is no culture.
yeah,
So we have to live in a way. See, Rastafari tells you must live in a way other people do too, that is simple in that others can simply live. So it's not just about consuming, it's not just about how much money you can make. It's
mm,
about being in harmony. It's about balance.
mm,
It's about all of our relations.
about it.
I tried to live that life. I lived in the city when I first became aware of reggae and the philosophy of Rastas.
Mm,
Eventually, I moved to California and I widened my thought pattern and my association with the reggae world.
mm,
When I moved to Hawaii
yeah,
and I had children, as they got a little bit older, I was asked if I would be part of a reggae band. And I had never been in a band,
mm,
although I have this musical family. I had played in the orchestra, I played a clarinet. I didn't like that instrument and I didn't play it very long. But
wow,
yet in my blood, there's this music. So I
mm,
was asked to be a part of a band on this island. And that was my first encounter with reggae music.
mm,
I started writing my own lyrics. And what I like about reggae is it's a message music. People come to hear you give a message.
message.
And I like giving messages. I'm kind of a conversationalist. I like talking,
Uh,
but I want to talk about the real deal. We can have fun all day talking about
yeah,
nature and our place in it.
Yeah.
So the reggae music started bubbling out of me kind of naturally. The
Mm.
band, after 2 years, disbanded, as bands do. We get popular, then people's egos, and this one doesn't want to work with that one, and so they
Absolutely.
disbanded. But I was invited to Japan to perform at this festival, and it
Wow.
was my first time going out as a reggae artist solo. So I was very kind of nervous about it. But that's where I started being a solo artist in
Oh,
1999, that was. So since that time, like I said, I have 5 albums. I would write songs that, like Bob Marley says, we need to speak in a way that everyone can understand because we were all once a child. So we don't want to just speak over people's heads and they're not understanding.
yeah.
So I wrote songs that were applicable to adults as well as children or youth, the youth. And when I went around to these schools, I had selected songs like the Garden song and some songs I haven't recorded, but they were dealing with friendship, friends make time,
Mm.
a loving cup, saying we woke up in the morning with life and it's up to us to fill up our loving cup. And we can do that with the next human being if we are open,
Absolutely.
if we're not judgmental, because my hair is different than yours, or my skin color is different than yours.
Yeah.
Where is the commonality?
Mm. Wow.
And so reggae music helps to bring us all together to understand that we are all brothers and sisters here.
Oh, wow. This has been so amazing. I love your answers to these questions. They are quite very educative. They are quite pulling. They are quite instructive. And they're giving out a whole lot of message. Just like you mentioned, reggae is all about message. I like the fact that, where is the commonality, which is one of the reasons why music tends to preach. Thank you so much for
That's
sharing.
correct.
Yeah, I love your take on that. Thank you so much for sharing. And apart from MySillyO, the plastic digester, do you have any other works you've authored or say currently working on?
My grandfather, my Jamaican grandfather, wanted me to write a book about my life.
Oh, wow.
And it was a kind of a troubled life because I grew up in a gang infested area in
Mm.
North Philadelphia. And I lost my parents at an early age, all of that.
Wow.
And I wanted to write this book, but I never did. I just never did. Something, maybe I will, but I never did. The thing that inspired me to write
Mm.
was mycelium. And it
Oh,
wasn't about me or my family.
wow.
As a songwriter, I just said, hey, I'm going to write a book. And I just thought it was going to be like writing a song. However, it was nothing like writing a song. I was like, oh, I've never done this before.
Wow.
So that I approached it in a naive way, like, oh yeah, like writing it. I almost gave up,
Mm.
but I didn't. I had an editor and she looked at it and she says, my dear, num num dum dum dum. And then I went away. Oh, and then she wrote me again and she said, I know you're sulking right now. You feel like
Yes.
giving up, but take that energy and go back to it. And I did. And in that time, we got this book. However, will I write other books is yet to be seen.
Mm.
Like I said to you, I have my hands in many areas, and I don't know if I'll revisit writing. I may and I may not, but presently I am not. I'm still trying to promote this book and find like minded individuals to have projects where we are actually growing mycelium.
Mm.
May I show you something?
Yes, you can.
This is a brick. This
Wow.
is made from mycelium.
Wow.
All the white you see is the mycelium.
Wow.
I want to grow bricks with classrooms, with adults, with other people. It needs a setup. You have to have a sterile environment. So I'm holding on, waiting to meet folks. In fact, I'm working on a project now for a Keiki Museum. Keiki in Hawaii means children.
Yeah.
So we have a museum here that is about STEM. And this falls under what? Science, biology. So I'm trying to create a not a program, but a product that can be on display at the museum where
Wow.
children can have an interaction with mushrooms and mycelium.
Wow.
So I
That's
wanted you to see
amazing.
this brick.
Hmm.
And I read about that hub in, I think they're in Kenya.
Hmm.
And they're doing marvelous buildings with mycelium. So it is spreading. Mycelium is spreading. The
Wow.
knowledge of it, the use of it is spreading. And that's what we need. We have to stop cutting down trees eventually,
Deforestation.
and know that we have other options.
I love your take. I love the fact that your book is environmental, factored, environmental inspired, and it's trying to up to preserve the green nature and help us to conserve our environment, you know,
That's right.
to avoid deforestation and encourage afforestation, which up to avoid cutting downs of trees and and advise the planting of trees, to advise this and to disadvise that. It's something quite important. It reminds me of geography back then in high school, where we have to learn certain things about the environment, what you need to do, solar planet, etc. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. And before we wrap up for today, I'd like to ask you, is there anything that you'd love to share with the viewers about your books that we did not mention in this interview? And I'd love the viewers to know. And also, where can interested viewers get a copy of the book?
In the beginning, you were admiring my hat.
Yeah.
You and you it reminded you of something.
Yeah.
I, as a fiber artist, I made this from recycled materials as it's a mushroom, sir. It's a mushroom cap. It's the top of a mushroom. I have my mushroom dress on. I have on my
Really?
mushroom hat with my 8 carton mushroom and my mycelium. This root is representing mycelium.
Really? That's
So
amazing.
the funny thing
Yeah.
is that I dress because I'm an entertainer. I think I'm always just looking to entertain.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So
get.
I dress when I do book talks, I dress in mycelium, mushroom wear dresses and coveralls, and then I have a few hats that
Mm.
are representing mushrooms. So I
Wow.
was at a book talk, not a book talk, I'm sorry. I was set up in in the theater that
Mm.
was showing a movie called Fantastic Fungi.
Mm.
And I had my books and my hat, my mushroom dress, and my posters. Everything around me was mushrooms. They were coming looking at fungi. A lady comes up to me and she said, "Excuse me, miss, but what is that you're wearing on your head?
Mm.
Is that a helmet that's protecting you from radiation?" And I looked in her eyes and I started laughing because I thought she was joking with me. Because some species of mushroom can handle radiation,
Wow,
right?
really?
It can transform it. But that wasn't my topic. I was just topping off my outfit with my mushroom hat. So
Wow.
I was looking at her, kind of like, what is she? She can't tell. And this other lady came up to her and said, "Look, don't you see she's wearing a mushroom dress? And she has a mushroom around her. This she's wearing a mushroom." And so the lady said,
Mushroom woman.
"No." Like,
Oh my goodness. That was funny.
so then I said to her, maybe I didn't do a good job of making the hat if you're not seeing that it's a mushroom.
Oh,
And I questioned my own, like, does it look like a mushroom? But all other people know it's a mushroom. I think it's been 2 ladies that have felt and have asked me if it was a helmet to protect my head from the environment. I thought that was
oh
hilarious.
my goodness. Oh wow. That was such a fun story you just told. I enjoyed
It's kind
listening
of
to it.
funny. And a man stopped me as I was walking to my booth and he says, "Excuse me, are you trying to make a new fashion statement?" And I said, "What?" And I just looked at him and I said, "Every day." And he looked me up and down like he was a little like I didn't like that answer. I said, "Every day when I leave home," And so
Are you trying
you
to make
have to
a
have
new fashion
courage.
statement?
Yes, I'm
That's
making
funny.
it.
Oh my goodness.
So we
Oh my
want to
goodness.
educate people. And what I think is for me, as far as the book is concerned,
Yeah.
some people feel like they have to be a scientist.
To talk.
I'm not a scientist. I'm an enthusiast. I'm an
Mm.
advocate.
Oh
They feel
wow.
like I'm asking them to clean up the earth. Do we have to meet on Saturday and do something? So, what I've come to the conclusion is
Yeah.
the language of art.
Mm.
I will use art to try and speak with people. And that's the project I was telling you that I'm working on now. It's
Mm.
going to be art. Hopefully, it can be in an exhibition. Hopefully, it
Mm.
can be at a library.
Mm.
People can interact with it and get their appetite up for understanding more about mycelium, how we can use it in the environment, and what we should be demanding as
Mm.
consumers. It's not just all on MySillyO to come and change. The
Mm.
people have to change.
Absolutely.
So the book can be purchased on all of the book platforms, CD Baby, Book Baby, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. All you have to do is type in "Buy MySillyO," the plastic digester. You will find books all over from Japan to
Mm.
the UK.
Wow.
And I just wanted to say to end this is that I live in a country. I live off grid, which means I have catchment water. I'm
Oh.
using solar power.
Wow.
I'm on a 5 acre spread. I can see the ocean. So a panoramic view of the Pacific Ocean is out my door.
Yeah.
And we live in a little, not a grass shack, but it's comfortable, but not more than we need. At this time, it's my husband and myself at home.
Mm.
So the natural world inspires me.
Wow. I got
I'm
it.
inspired by bird song.
Mm.
I sometimes I hear a new bird come in the area. I go outside and I look and I listen to that call. I'm
Mm.
inspired by the yellow reflective colors of the sun, by
Yeah.
the breezes that are gentle. I am blessed to have this as my home to keep me grounded
Mm.
in the foundation
Mm.
of Mother Earth. I'm barefoot most of the day.
Wow.
I went out today to pick my lemons, my limes. Yesterday I made soup from my celery, kale,
Mm.
and parsley.
Wow.
Celery is one of my favorite vegetables.
Wow.
So the more that us people can immerse ourselves into nature,
Yeah.
like even quietly, we don't have to you go to the beach and the people take their speakers with them. Then they're not hearing the ocean. They're not hearing that. We just sometimes in this busy world of ours, we just need to be still.
Mm.
Maybe sit under that tree and just contemplate because we want to change the mindset, Peter,
Mm.
of the people. That's where the magic is going to happen with the mycelium. The mindset has to change, like I said, from this consumerism and capitalism
Mm.
attitude.
Yeah.
Because as we see, we're just eating up everything.
Mm.
Every day there's some new product coming out. Do we need it? But it's cute. And so we
Mm.
go get it. So, yes, that's who I am. At this time in my life,
Mm.
I am considered an elder and I want to leave my contribution
Mm.
and I want to leave it to the youth.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot you've said in there. I must say this is very amazing. Like I said initially as well, very educative, quite instructive, very great, very heavy. It's the one you need to go over and over and over again to watch and listen to. And I must say this conversation has been impactful so far. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, we have to have gratitude.
Yeah.
And I feel very grateful to have met you today. I hope our paths cross again.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to wish you all the best with your endeavors.
Thank you so much. Thank
Keep up the good work you're doing.
you. Thank you. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Sahra Indio book directly on Amazon, on our website, and also on other platforms. I also left links to our social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Sahar, for accepting the invitation, for getting featured on P English Literature. And mostly this is more than awesome having you on the show and having this conversation with you. Thanks a million for coming on. Thank you.
Yes, I. Blessings.
Yeah, it's my pleasure as well.